Real question. The water bottle sitting next to you right now. Do you actually know what's in it? Because there's a decent chance you just paid $7 for glorified tap water. Or worse, you've been drinking something marketed as healthy that's honestly closer to a soda wearing a cuter outfit. There are at least 8 different waters being sold to you right now. Spring, sparkling, black, alkaline, electrolyte, flavored, mineral, and yes, water that is literally harvested off icebergs. Today, we're going through every single one. Where it actually comes from, what's actually inside it, and what it does to your body. And at the end, I'm ranking them. The best waters. The trendy but honestly fine waters. And the one water on this entire list that you should probably stop buying. Fair warning, the worst one is probably in your fridge right now, thinking it's healthy. Stick around. Quick disclaimer before we start. I'm not a doctor, this isn't medical advice, and if you've got kidney issues or any medical condition, talk to an actual professional before you overhaul your water routine. Here's the thing about water marketing. Basically all of it exists to convince you that plain water isn't good enough anymore. Walk into any store and there's a whole wall of options, all promising to hydrate you better, faster, or smarter than the bottle next to it. Some of that is real science. A lot of it is just really expensive vibes. Yes, there's also tap water, distilled water, artesian water, purified water, the whole rest of the aisle. But these 8 are the ones actually trending, the ones people are arguing about online right now, so that's our focus today. Let's start with the water that basically started this whole industry, spring water. Spring water. The OG. The original influencer water, honestly. Where it's from, an underground source. Rain and snow seep into the earth, get filtered through layers of rock and soil for years, sometimes decades, and then rise naturally to the surface on their own. No pumping required. By law, it has to be collected right at that natural opening, or from a borehole drilled straight into the same underground source feeding it. No shortcuts, no substitutions. What's in it? As it travels through all that rock, it naturally picks up small amounts of minerals, calcium, magnesium, potassium, depending on the geology of wherever it's from. That's actually why spring water from different regions tastes different from each other. Brands are minimally processed and legally aren't allowed to add minerals in or strip them out. What you're drinking is basically what came out of the ground. Brands like Mountain Valley are a solid real-world example of this category. Health check, this is about as close to just water as bottled water gets. No red flags, no weird additives, a genuinely safe, solid, boring in a good way choice. The only real catch has nothing to do with the water itself and everything to do with the bottle it's sitting in. We're circling back to that later. Keep it in the back of your mind. Sparkling water. Sparkling water. The bubbly one. LaCroix, Perrier, Poppy, your local seltzer, you already know her. Where it's from, sometimes it's naturally carbonated mineral water from a spring where carbon dioxide occurs underground and bubbles up with the water itself. That's the fancy European stuff. But most sparkling water on shelves is just regular filtered water with CO2 pumped into it under pressure afterward. Same base water, added fizz. What's in it? Water, carbon dioxide, and, if it's flavored, natural or artificial flavoring, sometimes a splash of citric acid to punch up the taste. Health check, plain sparkling water is genuinely fine. Dentists have actually tested this. Plain carbonated water barely touches your enamel compared to soda, so it'll ruin your teeth, is mostly overblown if you're drinking it unflavored. It gets a little dicier with the flavored, citrus-heavy versions, which are noticeably more acidic and can wear enamel down faster if you're sipping them non-stop all day instead of in one sitting. There's also research suggesting carbonation itself can bump up a hunger hormone called ghrelin. Basically, bubbles might make you hungrier. Not dangerous. Just useful to know if you're wondering why you want snacks after a can of sparkling water. Black water. Black water. This is the one that looks like you're drinking a swamp, and somehow that's the entire appeal. Where it's from, it's regular alkaline water. We'll get to what that means in a second. Infused with something called fulvic acid, sometimes humic acid too. Both come from fulvic and humic substances found in ancient, decomposed plant matter, organic material that's been breaking down underground for thousands of years. That's what turns the water this deep, tea-black color. What's in it? Fulvic and humic acids, plus trace minerals. The marketing loves to say, over 70 trace minerals, and a higher pH, usually somewhere around 8 to 9. Health check. Honest answer. The marketing is doing a lot of heavy lifting here. You'll see claims about detoxing, gut health, better energy, deeper cellular hydration, and fulvic acid is a real compound that some early, small-scale research finds genuinely interesting. But the boldest claims mostly come from the brands themselves, not independent, peer-reviewed studies on humans actually drinking bottled black water. It's generally considered safe in moderation. It's just not the wellness miracle the label is selling you. Think of it as alkaline water with better branding and a scarier color. Alkaline water. Possibly the single most argued about water on this entire list. Where it's from, it can start as regular filtered or spring water that's run through an ionizing machine, or it can have minerals like calcium and magnesium added, either way pushing the pH above 7, usually landing somewhere between 8 and 9.5. What's in it? Water, plus whatever minerals were added or concentrated to raise that pH. A higher pH just means it's less acidic than plain water on the scale. Health check. Okay, real talk time. Alkaline water is generally safe for most healthy people. But the claims that it slows aging, prevents disease, or hydrates you better because it neutralizes acid in your body, that part isn't backed by strong evidence. Your body already tightly regulates its own pH using your lungs and kidneys, regardless of what you drink. That's not really something a bottle of water can override. The FDA has actually stepped in and blocked companies from making certain bone health claims about alkaline water specifically because there wasn't enough evidence to support them, even though it's been pushed hard by wellness influencers for years. There's also a real safety flag here. If the pH climbs above 9.8, it can start messing with your potassium levels, which is genuinely risky if you have kidney disease. So, probably not doing anything harmful for most people. Also, probably not doing the magic it claims. You're mostly paying extra for pH. Electrolyte water. Electrolyte water. The hangover girlies and the gym bros' best friend. Where it's from, it starts as purified or filtered water, then electrolytes get added back in, usually sodium, potassium, magnesium, sometimes calcium. Some brands throw in a little sugar or carbs too, which actually helps your body absorb everything faster. What's in it? Water plus those added minerals, and sometimes flavoring or sweeteners depending on the brand. Health check. This one's less trendy nonsense and more situational tool. If you're sweating hard for over an hour, an intense workout, brutal heat, or you're sick and losing fluids, electrolyte water genuinely does help you rehydrate faster than plain water, because you're replacing the actual minerals you're losing, not just the water itself. But if you're just at your desk, walking to class, or doing a chill 20-minute workout, plain water does the exact same job for free, and your kidneys already handle your electrolyte balance just fine on a normal diet. The real health concern isn't the electrolytes themselves, it's that some of these drinks sneak in a decent amount of added sugar. So if you're cracking one open daily, just because, check the label. You might be closer to drinking a sports drink than you think. Flavored water. Quick clarification before anyone comes for me. If you're the person throwing cucumber and lemon slices into a pitcher at home, you're fine. Genuinely iconic. I'm talking about the store-bought, bottled, powder packet version. Because that's where it gets messy. Where it's from, base filtered water with flavoring added, either natural fruit extracts or artificial flavors. What's in it? This is genuinely a coin flip depending on the brand. Some flavored waters are sweetened with actual sugar, and in certain products, the sugar content isn't that far off from a can of soda. Others go sugar-free and lean on artificial sweeteners. Health check. This is the one where the health halo is doing the most damage. Because it's technically water, people assume it's automatically the healthy option and drink it without a second thought, way more than they'd ever drink a soda in a day. But regularly getting that much added sugar has real, well-documented links to weight gain and type 2 diabetes. And on the sugar-free side, research on long-term artificial sweetener use is still genuinely mixed, with some studies linking heavy, regular intake to a higher risk of things like heart disease and stroke, enough that health organizations have started warning against relying on them long-term. It's not that one bottle is secretly poison. It's that flavored water gets treated like a free pass, so people drink way more of it than they ever would soda, and that adds up fast. Mineral water. Spring water's fancier, more mineral-dense cousin. Where it's from, same basic deal as spring water, a protected underground source, tapped through a natural spring opening or a borehole. The difference is legal, not just marketing. To actually be labeled mineral water, it has to naturally contain at least 250 parts per million of total dissolved solids. Spring water has no such minimum. Mineral water does. And by law, nothing can be added afterward. What's in the ground is what ends up in your bottle. Evian and Buxton are well-known examples of this category. What's in it? Calcium, magnesium, potassium, sodium, sometimes bicarbonate, real, naturally occurring minerals, at meaningfully higher levels than spring water. That's also why different mineral waters taste so different from each other. The mineral profile is basically a fingerprint of the specific spring it came from. Health check. Genuinely one of the better choices on this whole list, because you're getting real, naturally occurring minerals with zero additives and zero marketing gimmicks. It's just water doing what water naturally does, slightly more efficiently. The one thing worth a glance is sodium content, which runs higher in some mineral waters than others depending on the source. Worth checking the label if you're watching your sodium intake. Otherwise, solid, boring, does its job. Iceberg Water. The most extra water on this entire list, and I mean that as a compliment. Where it's from, this is not a joke. This water is harvested from actual icebergs, chunks of ice that calved, meaning broke off, from glaciers that are thousands, sometimes over 15,000 years old, floating loose in the ocean. Specially equipped boats go out, pull pieces of iceberg out of the water by hand, haul them back to shore, and melt and bottle it under controlled conditions. It is, genuinely, one of the most difficult and expensive ways possible to get a bottle of water. Brands like Berg Water, and the now largely discontinued Svalbard, built entire luxury products around it. What's in it? Almost nothing, and that's the entire point. Because the ice formed from compacted snow over thousands of years, before it ever touched soil, it has barely any dissolved minerals. We're talking single digits in parts per million, some of the lowest of any water on Earth. Seawater can't even get in, because the ice is packed too dense. Health check. Since it never touched the ground, it hasn't picked up modern contaminants, and there's basically nothing in it to react badly with your body, about as neutral and pure as water gets. The honest catch is that pure doesn't automatically mean healthier. You're not getting any bonus minerals the way you would from spring or mineral water. You're paying a genuinely wild price, sometimes running into hundreds of dollars for a single bottle, mostly for the novelty and the story of where it came from. Incredible marketing. Debatable value for your actual health. The quick gut check. Okay. 8 waters down. Let's zoom out. Remember that microplastics thing I said we'd circle back to? It applies across basically every bottled water on this list, even the good ones. Recent research has found that people who mainly drink bottled water can end up ingesting tens of thousands more microplastic particles a year compared to people drinking tap water, mostly shed from the plastic bottle itself, especially if it's been sitting in heat or sunlight. Scientists are still figuring out exactly how much that matters long term. But it's a genuinely good reason to reach for a glass bottle or filtered tap water whenever you can, no matter which type from this list you personally prefer. And here's twist number 2. Bottled was never automatically a stand-in for safer or cleaner. Sometimes it's just water in a nicer outfit, with a bigger price tag and a smaller testing budget. If your tap water is treated and safe where you live, it's honestly an underrated 9th option that beats half of this list on value alone. Keep all of that in mind for everything I'm about to say next. The verdict. Best. Spring, mineral and iceberg water. Alright. The rankings. Your best choices, the ones I'd actually recommend without hesitation, are spring water, mineral water, and iceberg water. What do all three have in common? They come straight from nature, with nothing artificial added and nothing stripped out. Trendy, alkaline, black, electrolyte and sparkling. Next tier, alkaline water, black water, electrolyte water, and sparkling water. The trendy tier. None of these are bad for you. That's important to say clearly, because plenty of people online will tell you alkaline water is toxic or sparkling water destroys your bones. And that's just not true. What they actually have in common is that the marketing has sprinted way ahead of the science. Electrolyte water is legitimately useful, just only in specific situations, like intense workouts, heat, or being sick, not as your default, all-day hydration. And sparkling water is genuinely fine. Plain is basically harmless. So if you enjoy any of these, keep enjoying them. Just know you're paying a premium for a vibe, Not a medical upgrade. Worst choice. Flavored water. And finally, the one I teased at the very beginning. The worst choice on this entire list. Flavored water. It's marketed and perceived as the healthy option, so people drink way more of it, way more often, than they ever would a soda, without checking whether it's actually loaded with the same added sugar, or leaning on artificial sweeteners with long-term effects. It's the water most likely to be quietly doing the most damage. If you want flavor, the actual best move is the boring one. Cut up real fruit, throw it in a pitcher of spring or filtered water yourself. Same taste payoff. None of the fine print. So that's every type of water, ranked. Spring, mineral, and iceberg water, genuinely the best. Alkaline, black, electrolyte, and sparkling, trendy, mostly harmless and flavored water, the one hiding in plain sight as the actual worst pick on this entire list. Now I want to know, which one were you drinking before this video, and are you switching after? Tell me in the comments, and if you learned even one thing you didn't know, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.